You're at a family dinner. Everyone's laughing about something that happened years ago, a vacation, a birthday party, some random Tuesday. And you're smiling, nodding along, but inside there's this sinking feeling because you can't actually remember it. Not really. You were there, physically present, but your mind was somewhere else. Planning tomorrow, replaying yesterday, anywhere but there. Your kid shows you a drawing. You glance at it for 2 seconds, say, "That's great, honey," and go back to your phone. 3 years later, you're looking through old photos and you find that drawing in a pile. You stare at it. You can't remember the day they made it. You can't remember what you were looking at on your phone that was so important. But you remember that you weren't really there. If you're 30, you have about 2,500 Saturdays left. Sounds like a lot until you realize you've already lived through about 1,560 of them. If you're 40, you're down to 2,000. At 50, it's 1,500. And most of those Saturdays will be ordinary, forgettable. The same grocery run, the same routines, the same half presents. In 2013, researcher Matthew Killingsworth analyzed 250,000 data points from real people's lives. He found that we spend 47% of our waking hours thinking about something other than what we're doing. Nearly half your life happens while you're mentally absent. And here's the gut punch. People reported being significantly less happy when their minds were wandering, even if they were wandering to pleasant thoughts. A father spent 20 years working 60-hour weeks, building security, creating a future. His son graduated high school. During the speech, the kid thanked his coaches, his friends, his mother, never mentioned his dad, not out of spite. He just genuinely couldn't think of specific memories with him. The man was there for every birthday, every holiday, every dinner, but he wasn't present. He was answering emails in his head. You've had entire conversations where you didn't hear a single word, nodding at the right times, making appropriate faces. But if someone asked you 30 seconds later what was said, you'd have nothing. You've driven home and can't remember the drive. You've eaten meals without tasting them. You've lived days without living them. We think the threat to our time is obvious. Big decisions, major life changes. But the real thief is subtle. It's checking your phone 96 times a day. It's saying yes to things you don't care about because saying no feels uncomfortable. It's spending Friday night exhausted from a week you can't even remember. Too drained to do anything that matters, so you scroll until you fall asleep and call it rest. Neuroscientist Moshe Bar found that when we're preoccupied with mental clutter, particularly about the future, we literally see less. Brain scans show reduced activity in regions responsible for processing visual information. You're walking through your life half blind, missing details you'll never get back, because you're too busy worrying about things that haven't happened and probably never will. And there's something even worse than wasting time on distractions. Wasting it on the right things done for the wrong reasons. Going to the gym because you hate your body, not because you love what it can do. Chasing promotions you don't want for respect you don't need. Maintaining friendships that feel like obligations. You're spending your life doing what you're supposed to do and still arriving at the end empty. A woman worked for 15 years at a nonprofit, helping people, making a difference. Everyone said she was living a meaningful life. Then she got sick, really sick. During treatment, someone asked what she'd do if she beat it. She started crying. She realized she'd spent 15 years helping everyone else figure out their dreams while completely ignoring her own. She didn't even know what they were anymore. Think about yesterday. How many hours did you spend doing something just to get it over with? How many conversations did you have where you were planning your response instead of listening? How many times did you say, "I'm busy," when what you meant was, "I'm distracted"? How many moments passed that you'll never remember because you weren't actually in them? Psychologist Ellen Langer spent decades studying mindfulness, not the meditation app version, real presence. She found that people who pay attention to novelty in ordinary moments, who actively notice details instead of operating on autopilot, don't just remember their lives better, they literally live longer. Presence isn't spiritual, it's survival. You think in years. Your brain thinks in moments. If you live to 80, that's about 29,200 days. But you don't experience days. You experience moments, thousands of them daily. Most people throw away 90% of their moments waiting for better ones, waiting for vacation, for retirement, for someday. And someday never feels how they imagined, because they never practiced being present for the ordinary moments that make up most of life. A man spent 5 years planning the perfect proposal, the perfect ring, the perfect location, the perfect words. When the moment came, he was so focused on executing his plan that he barely remembers it. He has the photos, has the video, but the actual feeling of that moment, gone. He was too busy making sure it looked right to actually be in it. Here's what changes when you finally understand this. Life doesn't need to be extraordinary to be worth paying attention to. That's the lie we've been sold. That presence is for sunsets and vacations and special occasions. But your life isn't happening in those moments. It's happening in the morning coffee, the commute, the conversation with a stranger, the way light hits your wall at 4 p.m. These aren't filler moments between the good parts. This is your life. Right now, wherever you are, stop for 10 seconds. Actually stop. Look around. Notice something you've never noticed before. A sound, a shadow, a detail. That thing was always there. Your life is full of things that are always there that you never see because you're too busy thinking about somewhere else. A therapist worked with a woman who was convinced her life was boring. Nothing ever happened. Every day was the same. The therapist gave her an assignment. Notice 3 things daily that were different from yesterday. Not big things, just different. After 2 weeks, the woman came back different. She said, "My life didn't change. I just started showing up for it." It means feeling everything, not just the good stuff. You can't selectively be present. If you're going to feel the joy, you have to feel the boredom, the discomfort, the awkwardness. Most people choose distraction because presence is vulnerable. It means being here in this imperfect moment without an escape hatch. Start with one thing. One meal where you don't look at your phone. One conversation where you don't plan your next sentence. One walk where you're not listening to anything, just walking. Not because it'll change your life overnight, but because you need to remember what it feels like to actually be somewhere. You think you'll be present when it matters, during big moments, important conversations, meaningful experiences. But presence is a skill. If you're not practicing it during the mundane, you won't magically have it when it counts. You'll be at your daughter's wedding thinking about work, at your dream vacation worrying about emails, at the end of your life wondering where it went. A photographer spent 30 years capturing moments, weddings, births, graduations. He had thousands of photos. When he retired, his son asked about his favorite memory from all those events. He went quiet. He'd spent so much time behind the lens, focused on capturing the moment for others, that he'd missed actually experiencing any of them himself. He had the photos, but not the memories. You get about 4,000 weeks if you're lucky. You've already used some of them, not trying to scare you, trying to wake you up. Because right now, in this moment, you're either here or you're not. And if you're not here now, where are you? 5 minutes from now, tomorrow, next year? None of those exist. They never will. There's only this. Tonight, before you sleep, ask yourself one question. What's one thing that happened today? Not what you did. What happened? What you noticed? What you felt? If you can't answer, that's your alarm. Tomorrow, pick one moment, any moment, and be in it completely. 5 minutes of full presence is worth more than 5 hours of distraction. So, tell me this. What's the last moment you remember completely? Not something you have photos of or talked about later. A moment where you were fully there, fully awake, fully alive. When was it? And if you can't remember, what does that tell you about how you've been spending your life? Answer honestly. Because that answer is trying to tell you something.